Welcome back to our weekly FHL episodes. Can you believe that? This is already the 21st episode of these weekly updates and also teachings. I'm so glad that you are with us today. And today we're going to talk about mission trip in your own backyard. You heard me talk about this in the past, but we're going to dive in even deeper on this. This will be a two-part sessions. The first one would be mission trip in your own backyard. The part one, which is a sustainable mission without leaving home. So what does that mean? A sustainable mission without leaving home. Many of us have been looking for ways to serve, and sometimes we look too far, like to the ends of the earth. But what Apostle Luke said in Acts 1, verse 8, he said that you will be my witnesses, and this is Jesus talking. You'll be my witnesses, starting from Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. And again, nothing wrong going outside United States or outside your own city, but the command for us is to start in our own Jerusalem. And that could be maybe starting it with our family, with our, neighborhood, city, and then to the ends of the earth. I tell you what, I got converted. My faith got even stronger when I went on a mission trip. Not here. I was doing some things in our local outreaches, but I had like a real transformation when I went on a mission trip to Costa Rica. So you heard about me talking about the mission trip there that really transformed my thinking. When I came back to United States, I literally hear differently. I see differently. I feel differently. And that's because God had changed and transformed my perspective about life as a general. I know that's a big word, but again, that's what God would do if we are willing to listen to Him. So we did a lot of things, and want to share with you briefly how this happened. So back in 2003, a friend of mine asked me, hey, would you consider going to a mission trip in Costa Rica? And I said, well, I haven't been on a mission trip. I thought in a mission, I have to be like strong Christians with strong theology and things. And that's what I thought. But later on, I found out you don't need to be a doctorate in ministry or whatever, as long as God had called you. Because when God calls you, He's not going to set you up for failure, but He's setting you up for success. That's what Apostle Paul said in Ephesians, that God had already ordained our pathway. All we have to do is to follow through. So anyway, I went there, but here are the things, the requirements. There are requirements. You have to attend like a 2-week training. We have to understand the local community, and then I have to raise, I think, $4,000 in order for me to go there. And that's justifiable. That's because the airline tickets and the accommodation and some other things. So after doing that, it really changed my life. But I wanted to go back, but because I was limited financially and time-wise, I never made it. And then as I was thinking about it, if this is true to me, that I have shallow pocket but big heart to help, why can't we do this right here in our own backyard? And as you have heard in the past, that's how Faith, Hope, and Love got started. So looking deeper into the situation, I found out that if you want to go on an international mission, it costs too much. Yeah, you have to raise, depending on where you're going, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and some even $8,000 for maybe only a 10-day mission. So, and with a 10-day mission, 2 days were spent for transportation. So now you only have 8 days to go there, and then 1 day to tour the city. That's just like your reward for doing good. So while you're in Costa Rica or anywhere else, you go on a mission for the rest day. You go out, you spend some money in the locals, and you become like a tourist and then everything, which is a reward, which is great. But again, so that's you only have 7 days to work. And then again, I was put into a construction. Now, I really have not constructed a house before. So all I did was just like, carry blocks and take out the rocks and then bring some cement and all of those. But so you got the picture. I actually did less of that mission work and accomplish less. But I think for me, again, the reward is for me. But if we go on a mission in a missional country, then we have to actually invest in those people. So, for a 10-day mission, again, thousands of dollars, and probably over 50% of the money that I raised to go on a mission was spent for, airfare, that's expensive, board and lodging. And then what I found out, and this is not for all the international missions or outside the city missions, not all of them are sustainable. So I had questions. I said, well, why is it that one person, all right, raised $4,000 to go for a 10-day mission, and out of that 10-day mission, actually 7 days or less is being spent on actual mission field. 50% of the money that you raise is not spent on the local community, and then it's not always sustainable. So I start thinking, why can't we find ways to do mission right here in our own backyard, spend less money, and then that might be sustainable? Then, sometime in 2004, 2005, I shared a vision about a mission trip in your own backyard at my own church, and one of my friends came to me afterwards, and he shared his story with me. And later on, he became a board member for Faith, Hope, and Love. He's still a contributor, financial, and also prayer partner for Faith, Hope, and Love, even up to this present day. But he told me about his story. I didn't know that he worked as an executive for an international mission organization or ministry. This is a multi million dollars organization. And he was like one of the directors. So he had the privilege to go from one country to another to oversee what's going on in that country and maybe oversee the projects and the outreaches and everything. So what I found out was that he said that they raise, millions of dollars, and now sometimes for them it's just like, how are we going to spend the money? We have the money, we have to be accountable. So they build a community center in India. After they built the community center, people were so happy, they were thankful, and they were celebrating. And then he went back to the United States. And then later on, he went back to the same place. And to his dismay, he told me that that particular town where they invested a lot of money was in worse condition than before they start the community center. So his conclusion was that, why is this happening? And then later on, I heard a story right here in Indianapolis. A government he was a government employee. He was sharing with me that the city invested thousands and thousands of dollars to build playground in one neighborhood in Indianapolis, and then it just lasted for 1 week because some people burned it. I mean, this is true story. So I thought, why is that? That's because sometimes people feel like you have to give them over and over again, and maybe that we owe to them, or maybe that the resources will only come from the outside instead of from the inside. So his conclusion was that, hey, why not start join Faith, Hope, and Love and do a mission right here in our own backyard. So I have a few questions for you. First of all, is that why is it that sometimes we are a little stingy in investing in our people? We invest a lot in missions and money outside United States, and sometimes we just like, well, I want to spend this money for food, and I understand that, for transportation. But you know what? The greatest asset of a church or a food pantry or outreach organization is not the material things, it's the people, because it's the people who will carry on the vision and the mission of the organization. And sometimes we just say, hey, we'll spend 30 minutes or maybe a day of seminar, and that's it. But sometimes they are not clear what is the vision and why they are serving. So here are a couple questions for you. What if there's a mission trip that will not cost you thousands of dollars? Think about it. Not all of us can raise thousands of dollars, but we can raise maybe a couple $100. And then what if there's a mission trip that you will not need passport? So for those of you who are afraid to fly, or maybe vaccination and time change and jet lags and everything, a mission trip that you don't need passport. And what if there's a mission trip that is sustainable and could lead to social transformation? So again, that's a big thing about social transformation. We talk a little bit about the transformation, social capital. We talk about that. But what if this becomes sustainable? Because it's the mission is right here in our own city, your own town, so you are more in touch with the local community, and you can actually see the progress and learn the process of being sustained. And then what if there's a mission trip for your entire family, or maybe for your entire congregation, or your entire company, that they can serve together? I think there's, as a parent, there's nothing more that's satisfying when you are doing mission with your children, when you are doing mission even with your parents, being in a mission field and serving people together with your loved ones. What if there's a mission trip that your entire congregation can go, instead of just one person going outside somewhere spending thousands of dollars and just by themselves? What if you bring your entire congregation? And what if that entire congregation, or a big portion of that congregation, will have like this aha moment, this light bulb moment, just like what happened to me in a mission field? That we can say, wow, I never seen it, that this is what's happening in my own city, that this is what's needed in my own town. And because of that, God can use anything, your experience especially, to change your heart and to change your perspective. And what if your company, your entire company, your employees can give back to the community in the place where they are doing business, in the place where your company is profiting financially? What if there's a mission trip that will not cost you thousands of dollars, no passport needed, sustainable, and leads to social transformation, and then you can do mission with your entire family, your friends, congregation, and your company can serve together? And then eventually, what if there's a mission trip that can create a community that's focused on mission? Sometimes it's just, let me ask you this. Why is it that when we go on a mission trip outside of our city or outside of our country, we are so bold to pray for people on the streets? We are so bold to give bottled water or give tracts to people or to share the gospel. We're in right here across the street from your church, from in your own town, in your own neighborhood. Why is it that it's so hard? At least for me, what my experience is just, well, what would people think about me? But Apostle Paul said, I'm not afraid of the gospel. Wherever you are, and with Jesus, think about this. Jesus actually spent more time in his hometown. And it's not exotic. He was being stoned, he was being ridiculed by the leaders and even the regular people. He was like an outcast in his own town. And if we think about it, that's what's happening for us. And that's what happened to me in the past. Just like, yeah, it's easy for me to be really bold and on fire for the Lord and pray at street corners for people and share the gospel and do all these outreaches. That's because no one knows me. It doesn't matter for me if they ridicule me or what, because I'm just going to be there for 10 days. And again, I'm not saying this in a judgmental. It's just like a light bulb for me too. So that's my question: is that what if there's a mission trip in our own neighborhood, right here in our own neighborhood, and what if there's a mission trip right here in our own backyard through the establishment of Missional Food Pantry? And you may think, well, Missional Food Pantry, why? That's because that's basic human needs. That's because there are, here in Indianapolis in 2021, in July 2021, they said that 1 out of 5 are food insecure. Students, it's even worse. It's 39% for a 2-year college student, 39% are, food insecure. In the 4-year college, 29%. I know of a university right here in Indianapolis that's the president of the university said that 50%, over 50% of their students are hungry. So what I'd like for you to take a look at is take a look at this river of hunger. I created this. God has shown me how we can, maybe illustrate this river of hunger. And there is a concept called upstream thinking that we will be talking about a little later. Watch.
The River of Hunger, a parable of the evolution of today's food pantries. Once upon a time, there was a river of hunger in which many were drowning. Whenever those on shore would see one of these struggling people, they would pluck them out of the river and provide them with emergency food assistance. Soon, because of the large number of people being rescued from the river, a supplemental emergency food assistance system was developed in the community, and food pantries were established and rapidly increased in number. Among these were churches whose well-intentioned ministers recruited volunteers to serve at the pantries, and some even to move and live in the needy community. The community grew and settled into the business of delivering emergency food assistance. One day, someone wondered why there were still so many people in the River of Hunger, many of them repeats, and decided to go against the current to see what was causing them to fall into the river in the first place, and then to fall back into the river again after being rescued. Was there a way to prevent this unusual occurrence, thereby reducing hunger and the associated cost to individuals, families, communities, and society? By focusing on what can be done to keep people from falling again and again, food pantries must move beyond just handing out food to missional approach, since many of the food insecure population live in preventable circumstances. It's time to move merely from transactional to relational. Jesus taught us to find out the real needs of people, which means investing time in those people. In his conversation with an untrusting person at a well, Jesus pointed the Samaritan woman to what she really needed and how she could get it. He met her at her point of need. Although she came to the well to quench her thirst, she learned of the living water, the only thing that would truly quench her thirst. Similarly, at food pantries, most people come to receive free bags of food. Many of us have been involved in just giving people what they feel they need, food, rather than trying to uncover their underlying real need of education or training or healthy living or an encounter with God. If we would rescue people, it is imperative that we become missional workers by serving people with God's perspective. We can help many people avoid falling into the river of hunger over and over again by helping them beyond a bag of food. By slowing down the process of food distribution, we can actually shorten the line.
River of hunger. That's what it is. Many times we are looking to just pull people over and over again in the river of hunger. And what happens is that people will go back again upstream and then they're going to fall again and they're going to fall again. What if we build a fence there? What if we educate people? What if we start thinking of just giving people, say, band-aids, right? It's necessary, but it's not the cure. It could be just to stop the bleeding and then later on really cure what's causing people to jump in the river over and over again. So what's the difference? So you may think, okay, what's a missional food pantry? So the traditional food pantry is this. The emphasis is on giving food, right? It's a food pantry. It's a food distribution. So again, if we don't think it over, people will think, okay, you need food, you go to a food pantry. So the emphasis is on food. With a missional food pantry, the emphasis is on people. And we have a saying at Faith, Hope, and Love that our number one clients are not the people out there, but the people in here. The volunteers, the local missionaries, the leaders, because they're the ones who are operating it. And they need to understand not just how to give food, but also the deeper meaning of serving people. That it's the people that we serve. We don't serve the system, we use the system to operate better, but the emphasis is on people. In traditional food pantry, it's more of transactional. What I mean with that is like, well, I have food, you don't have food, then you come to me, then I give you food, and because there's no relational aspect to it, so it's just like, okay, just give me the bag of groceries, and I'm leaving, and I'm out of your way. So it's transactional. On a missional food pantry, it's relational. So again, the greatest commandment that Jesus taught us is love God, love others. And you know what love is? It's rooted in relationship. So if we establish the first thing, because Jesus said himself that if you take care of these two commandments, you will take care of the rest of the commandments, the 10 commandments, that is. So if we take care of the relational aspect, maybe somehow we will get even further in really helping people beyond just giving away food, beyond the transaction, but more on transformational. So in traditional food pantry, it's normally organized by one firm, one company, one church, or one organization, which is, nothing wrong with that. But what that creates sometimes is like this silo. What creates is just like, yeah, this is X, Y, and Z food pantry instead of a food pantry by the community for the community. So for the missional food pantry, it's building missional community. Everyone gets to play, and there's a follow-up system, and the follow-up system is very important. You see, in a missional food pantry, giving food is just part of it. but there are many things that really complete the process. The next one would be the follow-up. We cannot solve all the problems of people in just giving away food. I mean, that's a given, right? But sometimes we feel like, okay, well, our job is just to give away food. What if we maximize that into getting the information, give them food, but also follow up? What I mean follow up, it's like, hey, we pray for you when you were at the food pantry, and you mentioned that you're looking for a job. Did you follow through on some of the resources that we provided for you? Data management and analysis is very, very important. You know why? Because it's more of educated, database outreaches that we can do in the future, rather than just like, well, I feel that the community needs this. But with the data, we can actually say, oh, wow, I really didn't know that there are, just within half a mile block from my church, there are like 100 senior citizens over 65 years old or 70 years old. So maybe you as a pastor, you may think, okay, how can we serve them? Maybe a senior citizen program or so on and so forth. So again, on Missional Food Pantry, the emphasis is on people, which is empowerment, right? Empowerment is very, very different than enablement. Missional Food Pantry is relational, meaning trusting each other. And once we trust each other, then we can accomplish more. And then Missional Food Pantry is building missional community. So next time, we're going to talk more about the building of a missional community based on Missional Food Pantry. So again, remember that you and I have the power to bring kingdom solutions and resources for the worldly problems. And until then, God bless you, and we will talk to you at the next FHL episodes.
Watched the news this morning, and we saw that this food pantry drive here is giving away food, and with the economy the way it is, and situation we're currently going through as well, a personal issue, where money is a little tight, so we definitely wanted to take advantage of it, and I'm so glad I did. Had no clue that they were going to have like prayer session, which is, it touched me in a way that I can't even describe, because I needed that prayer in our journey that my husband and I are going through. He was involved in an accident, so we needed that prayer, and the free food we can definitely use. So I'm really glad I took advantage of it, and bless you guys for finding it in your heart to even make something like this happen for us.